breastfeeding. I had a horrible time breastfeeding our first child. We had to supplement with Infamil. I mean, lots of that, and it was very expensive. But my point of saying this is that I could never count on being able to breastfeed in the moment, so I would try to stockpile, but I never knew if Lizzie was going to have enough.
Yeah.
So, and I worked in the news business. We get shipped out of town a lot. This was very, very stressful. So I love that companies are coming up with solutions to retain women in the workforce.
One argument, I'm not saying that I absolutely believe this, but I've heard this in the past, that you have vacation days, you have sick days that you can use. And many companies have, 2 or 3 weeks of vacation that you can use, maybe another couple weeks of sick days that they allow you to use, where you could use up easily 3 weeks or maybe as much as 5 weeks, because the company policy is you can use your personal time off however you want. That includes for maternity leave.
If child planning were all so simple and we could do it on a clock, but we know there are couples that
9-month
can't
clock.
get pregnant. We know that there are couples such as me and my husband who had our firstborn and then were pregnant almost immediately with our second. So you can't, and sometimes with companies, you can't hold vacation days over. It's use or lose. We got some breaking news right now.
That we have today.
Looks like President Trump.
You certainly had
it looks like President Trump is speaking after the Supreme Court hearing. So let's listen in to former President Trump. Excuse me. There was a hearing this morning at the Supreme Court regarding his eligibility on the Colorado ballot.
Can I just?
This was actually an opportunity for her to come here.
Looks like we may have lost that feed.
So it's not because it was.
Here, I got it.
As you know, Iraq should have never happened. That was a balance against Iran, and we blew out the balance, and now Iran has essentially Iraq. And Iraq doesn't like saying that, but that's the way it is, and it's a shame. The world is in tremendous danger. We're in danger of possibly a World War III, and we have a man who's absolutely the worst president in the history of our country. Can't put two sentences
Well, he's not
together.
addressing
He's not
at this
gonna be
point.
able
I
to
don't know
do
if we
it.
missed it or not, but our producers and reporters in the newsroom will let us know if he said anything regarding the Supreme Court hearing this morning, which went on. It was scheduled to last about an hour and a half. His attorneys were arguing he has the right to be on the ballot in Colorado, and that keeping him off the ballot would take away his opportunity to seek a second term. Those who are trying to keep him off the ballot in Colorado are arguing that he has participated in an insurrection, which is covered by the 14th Amendment, and that he, as such, should not be allowed to be on the ballot to be the next president.
We will continue and see how quickly the Supreme Court comes up with their ruling.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomis. KSL's top local story this hour. A suspected car thief was shot by police overnight in South Salt Lake. Police say this all began when a man used a gun to break into a car lot for towed cars in American Fork and drove off with a Honda Civic.
The individual got out of the vehicle, started to walk away from the vehicle, so officers approached. A foot pursuit ensued. I don't know how that happened. And somehow during that foot pursuit, shots were fired.
That's Lieutenant Kevin Doyle. The suspect's in the hospital. The officers involved on paid administrative leave while an investigation is conducted. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments this morning on Colorado's historic case that seeks to block former President Donald Trump from the state's 2024 primary election ballot. These proceedings representing a huge moment for the court, according to ABC's John Santucci.
We haven't had a case like this since Bush versus Gore in 2000's election. So to think that Donald Trump's possibility of being thrown off a ballot is going to go before a Supreme Court which 3 of those 9 judges were appointed by Donald Trump. So in a world that his judges, as Donald Trump refers to them, could be judging whether or not he's on the ballot or not, it's historic.
And your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day right now is 77 points, while the NASDAQ is up about 50 points. And our KSL weather, we're going to see some more snow this afternoon. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
We met with Master Electrical just a few weeks ago, Debbie, and one thing that I took away is how passionate they are about the customer experience.
Oh, for sure. Customer service, number one. That's why Master Electrical does upfront pricing and gives you their upfront pricing guarantee. They put the customer first.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of us have probably been bitten by these bids. The folks come in, they say, "Oh, this is going to take me half a day, easy. This is, a real lowball estimate." And then when the job gets done, you get the invoice, and it's way higher than you expected. But with Master Electrical, whatever they give you as the bid is what you're going to pay.
Master Electrical will look at anything you've got with your electrical situation, whether it's you need new lights, you need some ceiling fans like Dave does, you need to check on those smoke detectors to make sure they're working properly, or maybe you need some new ones because it's been a long time. Make sure you give Master Electrical a call.
801-543-2222. That's 801-543-2222.
Or look them up online at masterelectrical.com.
Maybe Washington didn't ski. Maybe Lincoln didn't shred. Okay, could be, but I know they'd have no objections to you taking a run in their honor. So get ready. President's Weekend at Bear Lake is simply the best of Utah and the best place to celebrate our president's big days. You'll uncover 3 of the most beautiful cross-country and snowshoeing trails in Utah, or jump into a snowmobile and catch some awesome trails and over 350 miles of backcountry snowmobiling. No matter how you like your winter sports, Bear Lake is ready, and President's Weekend is the perfect time to celebrate. So pack up the family and play your way. And when you choose President's Day to play in the snow, you'll find family-friendly getaway and lodging deals, too. Start at bearlake.org and learn more about President's Day at Bear Lake. bearlake.org. Lodging, activities, family events, even ice fishing. It's winter at its best, all at Bear Lake. Visit bearlake.org for details. bearlake.org.
Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Well, we're hearing scanner chatter of a truck which has crashed into a building on Redwood Road just north of North Temple. Looks like the right lane is partially blocked, and police are no longer doing traffic control at the mouth of Little Cottonwood Canyon, but expect big delays as you're trying to make your way up toward the canyon. With fresh snow comes fresh tracks at Murdoch Hyundai. Right now receive 0% for 3 years on Tucson or Santa Fe. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, scattered rain and snow showers this morning, turning to snow showers this afternoon and evening. It'll be colder and drier this weekend with highs in the mid-30s. And right now, 37 degrees, partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We're looking at a recent poll right now. Seems to suggest that there's a dwindling sense of confidence in the American dream. Do we need to take a poll to know this? That some citizens of the United States are now flocking to foreign lands to live in search of more affordability, more flexibility than they have here in the United States.
Careful what you ask for. Careful what you wish for. Because you take a lot of things for granted here in the United States.
Give me an example. You've lived abroad for a couple of years when you were on your mission.
I've lived abroad. My kids have served missions, and they've seen what real housing affordability looks like. It's also rampant poverty. So I've seen a lot of examples of when you leave, in some ways, you might have a more affordable home, but the job you're not getting American wages. A lot of this is adjusted, right? What they're charging in some of these countries are congruent with the wages they are paying. Don't think you're going to take your six-figure salary here in the United States and be able to move over and get paid the same amount. Now, remote working may have changed that a little bit.
I think you just hit it on the head. I think you went the long way around to get to the main point. It's not 1970 anymore, Dad. It's not 1980
How about
anymore.
2018.
I have friends who work for companies. They're global companies. They're companies here in the United States. They're worldwide, and they can live anywhere in the entire world. The company does not care. They encourage it.
100% online.
Yep. And the pay stays the same. It doesn't matter where they live. The pay stays the same. Yeah, 100% online. Or they're just traveling so much to go to meetings and wine and dine clients that they don't care. They don't care where they live. Just get there. Get there to the meeting. I love the fact that there's some flexibility with that, with jobs like that. We don't need to come to the office every single day anymore. It's great. It opens up opportunities to see the world in a different way and not be, living in the same zip code your whole life. Not looking in the mirror here, Dave. You and me. So the recent numbers are pretty shocking, and it's doubled since 1999. Now, a lot of things have doubled since 1999, so maybe this is not a big shocker if you're a data analyst, but there's 9 million Americans. Most recent numbers from 2021 show the number of Americans who have left the U.S. is at about 9 million currently, double the number in 1999. So we're flocking to other countries to live for lots of different reasons.
Where are they going?
Canada, 40%, Western Hemisphere in Canada.
That doesn't count.
It does. Oh, it does. A lot of folks move up to Canada. 26% say they're going to Europe or they've gone to Europe. 14% to East Asia and the Pacific, New Zealand, Australia, places like that. 15%, according to a new Gallup poll, of Americans say they want to move out of the country permanently. Why do you think that is? What's your best guess?
Well, I think there's a couple of things where my mind goes. I think, in part, Americans, are exhausted with the political atmosphere.
Bingo.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Yeah. It's also healthcare is one of the main reasons. Other countries offer healthcare. We don't have to pay for it. Cost of living is a lot cheaper in other nations. I've got a breakdown of that in a moment. Have you ever thought, though, about remote phoning into the show every day from Amsterdam? I don't know. What's your country of choice?
I actually have some friends that moved to the Bahamas full time.
They did?
For that reason. It was more affordable.
That's
they could
fascinating.
work remotely. But one of the things that is concerning and has concerned them is there's a real security issue.
Yeah.
Again, we take for granted some of the things that we have here in the States and law-abiding, a police force that you can trust that isn't corrupt. These are some of the security things that we take for granted that other countries, they don't have the same standard of police care.
We're seeing this all over social media, though. This seems to be catching on among the younger generation?
I think the new American dream is to leave, to pack up and head to a quiet European town or a beachside village in Asia, somewhere where we aren't being poisoned by our food, we don't need 2 to 3 jobs to survive, and where healthcare isn't a luxury.
Okay,
but
hon. The whole poison by your food. All right, come on. I would agree, though, when I was in Paris, that food was so fresh, and it was just so delicious compared to what the food I eat here. Maybe it's a preservative thing, but I did enjoy all of my meals when I was in France.
Let me introduce you to the Spanish blood sausage and see how you feel.
A little different, huh? So let's look at the cost of living. In Utah, the average home price right now is, let's say, $550,000. And like we always like to say on the David Dujanovic Show, that comes exclusively with a 1970s avocado green toilet and a roof that leaks. So then you hop on over to Berlin. It's about $475,000, so $50,000 cheaper. Paris is $565,000. I thought Paris. Yeah, I thought it would be a lot more, but we're competing with Paris.
Okay, can I
here in Utah?
I see the flaw already.
What is it?
The median home price in Paris, France, where I've been, sure, okay, comparable cost, you are not getting the same square footage. Trust me on that. The livable area of Europeans compared to Americans.
Oh, I see.
You would think they were joking in some of the places they live. That they'll give you 800 square feet, and they're like, "Oh, that's going to cost you $500,000."
Portugal, it's $388,000.
Hope you speak Portuguese.
Well, I'd learn. I got an app for that.
It's so easy to do.
And then the rental prices too are wildly disparate. Is that the right word? We'll get into those in a few moments. Rental prices for an apartment. Wow. Cheap in some parts of the world. Would you encourage your kids, your adult kids, to follow their American dream straight to another country? Just pack it up and take it with them and live in another country. Give us a phone call. I'm curious to know what our parents out there are encouraging their kids to do when it comes to the American dream. Is it move overseas and live there? 801-575-TALK. Your call's next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And did you know that we get a bunch of service calls per year from people who didn't even hire us? That means they originally hired someone else to replace their siding, gutters, and windows. Then later, when a problem popped up, they tried to call their contractor back to fix it, only to find out that the contractor has ceased to exist. They're gone, done, out of business. At RGS Exteriors, we've been serving Utah for 70 years. As a fifth-generation owned contractor, we've got customers who are the grandkids of our customers we had in the 1950s and 60s. We're not going anywhere. We will be here when you need us, period. For siding, gutters, and windows, now and forever, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit at rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson. Our goal every day on Inside Sources is to help you divide the rage from the reason, elevate the conversation, connect the dots, and make the news make sense in your world. We have conversations with great thinkers, with great leaders, and great people who are just out there making a difference in the world. Now, we do talk about politics, but only so we can discuss society and culture. And then we explore society and culture so we can discuss principles and the people in America and the state of Utah who actually live them and apply them every day. We bring the best and brightest minds to the state of Utah, and we love to take the Utah model and send it out to our nation's capital and beyond. Every day on Inside Sources, you'll be part of that conversation. To help you understand things in a different way, we'll get you to think again about what you think you know. But most important, we're going to help you have confidence to have crucial conversations in your community and in your own home.
Join Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, police shot and wounded a suspected car thief in South Salt Lake overnight. Second, a Kaysville police officer suing the manufacturer of a gun holster after she shot herself in the foot during a training exercise. And third, the U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments this morning in the case that removed former President Trump from the primary election ballot in Colorado. Right now, 37 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hey, before we get to your live phone calls at 801-575-TALK, it is secret contest time. This one is for our podcast listeners. It's a podcast exclusive. So here's what you need to do. You can find our podcast, The David Dujanovic Show, at kslpodcast.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. And then
you can win some AirPod Pros. That's right. We're going to hook you up with some AirPod Pros every week during the entire month of February. So make sure you listen in. As soon as you hear that keyword, text it in to 57500.
Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
We're looking at a surge of people moving out of the United States because they feel like the American dream is dead. And so they're taking their dreams to live in other countries. Maybe there's opportunities. Maybe they want the experience. Sometimes it's because they can live less expensively, cheaply in another nation.
I have a couple warning signs that I'd like to flash at you. Having done this, having moved away and lived for 2 years in Spain, that's where I went. Let me just warn you, number one, learning a new language, that's not a picnic. That's not a lot of fun, in fact. And, you know, it can be exhilarating. I wanted to learn how to speak Spanish. I was excited at first until I went, and it is really difficult. And it can take you a year and a half to become really proficient with the language. That's a long time to not be able to communicate and talk to people and share. And even after a year and a half, you're not able to speak to your friends like you can in your native language. You just can't communicate that well. So let me just say, if you're excited about it, it's a foreign country, new language, that's not a lot of fun.
801-575-TALK. Hey, parents, is the American dream for your kids in another land, in another country? Hi, Jerry.
Hello.
Hi. What do you think? Would you encourage your kids to go?
No, I lived in Germany for 7 years growing up. And while it was a good experience overall, the cost of living is a lot higher than it is here. They do have free health care, that is true, but your taxes are much, much higher than they are here.
So,
I'm going to say,
weigh everything. Right?
Everything into consideration. Taken as a whole, I wouldn't trade the United States for anything. I'm proud to be a citizen and wouldn't live anywhere else.
Well, we're lucky that you're listening. Thanks so much, Jerry. Appreciate it. Apartment rents in Bangkok, Thailand, $650 a month. Barcelona, Spain, $1,500 a month. So somewhat comparable, but not quite as pricey as they are here in Utah, an average of $1,800 a month.
In the ballpark, though, right?
Yeah.
And remember, if you have to move, then you're probably buying all that stuff to live all over again, so that can be pricey as well. Let me give you another example of a reason why it's not as rosy and as great as it might sound, because it sounds very cool. I'm going to go live in Germany for 5 years or 10 years, whatever. This happens a lot here in the States. In the NBA, we see it. You've got people that play basketball overseas. They get drafted by a team. They come live here. They have fame. They have fortune. These are millionaires. And the most common thing that I heard from NBA players, foreign players, is they felt isolated. They felt alone. They didn't have their community, and they didn't have their culture. So a lot of the things that we kind of take for granted, that is something, probably the most common thing I hear from foreign NBA players is they miss the culture of their home.
That's food for thought. Izzy, one of our producers here in her 20s, is going to be moving to London later this year. Has Dave talked you out of leaving yet?
No, not quite. I mean, I definitely have the benefit of moving to an English-speaking country, so I'm not going to have to worry about a language. Even though learning another language sounds really fun, I'm sure it's incredibly difficult. But I still am pretty excited about it being incredibly difficult. I mean, something I've told all my friends is even if I'm miserable, I'm going to be miserable in London. You know what I mean? Like,
didn't you say something like, if I'm going to be broke, I might as well be broke in London?
Right. It's either, for the career that I want, it's either LA or London. And I mean, they're comparable in expenses, so I might as well go where, all the great poets were just as miserable as I'll have been. It's going to be really great.
Are your parents encouraging this?
Yeah, I am really lucky to have, my dad works in the film industry and he spent a lot of time in London, and my mom is kind of very gung-ho about me being in my 20s and getting to do everything that I want to do. So when I told them about it, they were both like, that's going to be really hard. Good luck, but go ahead, see if you can do it. So I'm lucky for that. I mean, I'm also moving with a friend, which is really lovely. She's going to get her master's there, so I'll still have that sense of community. But I think there's something really appealing to the young generation about going to a bigger pond where there's bigger fish and seeing if you can do it, even if it's going to be harder, because it's hard here. Yeah. So might as well go be hard somewhere new and see if you can learn anything about yourself.
Wow, Izzy. I was just thinking about that, the excitement of when I go other places and get out of Utah. I mean, I love it here, but sometimes I don't want to go on a hike, up Big Conwood Canyon. I loved, like, when Caitlin, our other producer, and I went to New York last year. I hadn't been to New York in decades, and I just was absorbing the nightlife, the fun, the electricity of the city. Yeah. We went to two Broadway plays, ate some great, inexpensive $2.50 a slice pizza. And that's what you get when you get out.
Right. And I grew up in LA, so I'm used to a bigger city. And I do love Salt Lake. Like, I found a real home here, a really great community. I'm lucky to have amazing people in my life. But there's something about walking down a main street and there's a hole in the wall and it's the $2 best food you've ever had in your life. And also then being, a tube ride away from the East End, like it's a different life, and it's a really exciting one to have the opportunity to live. And if you have the opportunity to be 23 in London, I mean, what are you going to do? Not go?
I kind of dig the excitement that I'm hearing from you. I get it. Maybe I'm a little jaded because I've done this. What I learned, though, is there are some very cool things.
Yeah.
You can only go to Big Ben so many times, or Stonehenge.
Sure.
You're like, oh, you know what? Seen this, been there, done that. That's the touristy stuff. I think ultimately what happens is we live very similarly to the rest of the world. They wake up, you go to work, you have chores, you got to, you're living a pretty similar life. The stuff that I hear, some of the describing, it's like, well, that's the touristy stuff. That's not like really living. living in different countries, I just find largely it's very similar to how we live here. You work, you wake up, you take care of your family.
Interesting. Ernie from Bountiful, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think? Would you encourage your kids to go live out their American dream in another country?
Well, I'm just calling because it's not as bad as what you're saying on the radio.
Thanks, Ernie.
I'm jaded, Ernie.
I served a 2-year mission in Spain, and I learned the language rather quickly. It's just what you need to do is how you approach living there. If you're going to live there like a tourist, yeah, maybe it'll take you years before you learn the language. But if you integrate yourself with the people, and the people in Spain, in my opinion, are some of the best in the world. I just love those people. When you live your language, when you don't speak English, and you go ahead and you mingle with the people, you speak their language, you don't use English. When you look at a table, the first thought that comes to your mind is mesa. You don't look at a table and say, table, what is that translated? No, that happens when you get back. When you have to give your homecoming speech, you're saying, gee, I know the word in Spanish. I don't know what it is in English. You have to think and live like the Spaniards and mingle with them, and you'll find they're wonderful people, and there's a lot of benefits.
Love it.
The only thing I didn't like, because I was there under Francisco Franco, I just didn't like feeling less free than in America, and, of course, the standard of living just was a lot less.
Ernie, thank you for the phone call. Nice to talk to a fellow Spaniard, light. I don't know how. A visitor, a long-term visitor. Thanks, Ernie.
Thanks. And Izzy, we're lucky to have you until you leave for your adventure in London and your job. So thank you so much.
Good luck.
Izzy, our producer.
With their terrible food.
Thanks for having me. I'm sure I'll figure something out.
Absolutely. Straight ahead, it was a big day for President Trump once again in court. This time it was the United States Supreme Court. They're going to decide whether he can be on the ballot in Colorado. He didn't say much that we could tell outside the court.
I just finished watching the Supreme Court. It was a beautiful thing to watch in many respects. It's unfortunate that we have to go through a thing like that. I consider it to be
Okay, we're going to go live with News Nation. They're going to give us the latest on what went down at the Supreme Court of the United States this morning.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. A Kaysville police officer accidentally shot herself during a training exercise. Now she's joining other officers from around the country to sue the company who made their holsters. KSL News Radio's Michael Commit reports.
The holster in question is the Blackhawk Serpa, and the lawsuit argues the biggest safety hazard is its built-in retention mechanism. Allegedly, by the time it's pressed, your trigger finger is likely going to be dangerously close to the trigger as the gun is drawn, and this increases the risk of a negligent discharge.
The lawsuit also alleges the risk would be even greater if an officer is drawing their weapon under stress. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Based on questions raised during oral arguments today, the U.S. Supreme Court appears poised to strike down the ruling that former President Donald Trump should be kept off the ballot in Colorado. He was accused of violating the 14th Amendment's disqualification clause. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more.
Across ideological lines, justices were skeptical of the idea that a single state could decide to take a presidential candidate off the ballot. Liberal Justice Elena Kagan.
Whatever means there are to enforce it would suggest that they have to be federal, national means.
Conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett.
It just doesn't seem like a state call.
Chief Justice John Roberts suggested if the Colorado ruling is allowed to stand, GOP-led states could strike Democratic candidates off the ballot.
That's a pretty daunting consequence.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
And your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day right now, 55 points, while the NASDAQ is up 25. And our KSL weather just looks like a little more snow before things dry out this weekend. That's next. KSL News, I'm 11:02.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Uma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Uma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Uma?
Yep. Switching to Uma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Uma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Uma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Uma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Valentine's Day is here. This year, give the ultimate gift. Name a star after your sweetheart. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For 45 years, we've named millions of stars for celebrities, dignitaries, and individuals worldwide. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can give the most memorable gift. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333. Valentine's Day is here. This year, give the ultimate gift. Name a star after your sweetheart. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For 45 years, we've named millions of stars for celebrities, dignitaries, and individuals worldwide. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can give the most memorable gift. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
Traffic and weather together now, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
Looks like we've had some busy and slower traffic transitioning from eastbound I-80 to go northbound on I-15 in the downtown Salt Lake City area. But once you're past about 6 North in the North Tipple area, you are good to go. We do have a right lane blocked with an accident in downtown's west side. This is northbound Redwood Road just after North Temple. Mr. Max buy one get one sale. Buy one suit for $299. Get the second one for $100. Any style, any occasion, free alterations, and 9 locations. Mr. Mac, Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, scattered rain and snow showers this morning, turning to snow showers this afternoon and evening. Colder and drier over the weekend with highs in the mid-30s. And right now, we're at 37 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Former President Trump fighting for his political life to stay on or get back on the ballot in Colorado, where he's currently off the ballot. Case before the United States Supreme Court this morning, and in typical Trump fashion, afterwards doesn't say a lot other than calling the court a beautiful thing.
I just finished watching the Supreme Court. It was a beautiful thing to watch in many respects. It's unfortunate that we have to go through a thing like that. I consider it to be more election interference by the Democrats. That's what they're doing.
So what Colorado has done is they've essentially taken his name and said it can't be on the primary election ballot. Now, Colorado is a deeply blue state. The former president, he is never going to win Colorado anyway, so it doesn't super matter, practically speaking. But I think it's a really scary peek into the future where states can just say, I will accept that candidate, but not that candidate. Yes to this one, no to that one.
News Nation's Washington correspondent Kelly Meyer is in Washington, D.C. right now. Oral arguments this morning before the Supreme Court. I listened to some of them. There were a lot of questions from the justices. I was specifically listening to when President Trump's attorneys were making their case to get him on the ballot. Let's start there.
Yeah, thank you for having me. We're actually outside of the U.S. Supreme Court right now doing reports for News Nation, and they just wrapped up really not too long ago, probably about 30 or 40 minutes ago. And then, as you said, former President Trump came on the cameras, gave his own little press conference afterwards, and he seemed pretty upbeat. He seemed hopeful that the conservative-leaning court will support his position. 3 of those 9 justices were nominated to the bench by him during his presidency, and they're going to decide his 2024 fate, whether or not he will be on that ballot in Colorado, and if it has a downstream effect with other places that have pending legislation or pending cases on similar efforts to keep him off the ballot. The Trump side argues that this disenfranchises tens of millions of Americans. There were a lot of questions around how should a state or how can a state decide whether or not a candidate is an insurrectionist and therefore ineligible for the presidency. There were a lot of questions from those arguing, the lawyer arguing for Colorado voters, saying that Trump put himself in this position by what they say causing an insurrection on January 6th. Trump's lawyers argue that it was not an insurrection. It was a riot, but it did not qualify as an insurrection. So there was a lot of back and forth on all of this. Ultimately, it seems as though, at least right now, that the court might side in favor of Trump just from the way this was argued. However, they may seem that way and it could go a completely different way. They've done that in the past. So it would really be interesting to see how they decide at the end of the day on this case, because I do think it could have ramifications for other states that may have pending cases.
Kelly Meyer is standing just outside the Supreme Court right now for News Nation, and typically you can listen to the questions from the justices and get a little bit of an idea which way they're learning. So I was curious, speaking specifically of the liberal justices, was there a line of questioning that you found particularly interesting?
I'm trying to think back. There was some questioning just around whether or not, mostly whether or not, is he qualified as an insurrectionist? How do you say whether or not Trump was an insurrectionist in this case, whether or not he's on or off the ballot? I think those questions were interesting. I'm trying to think of other portions. I took some notes in here as well because there was quite a long a line of questioning from both sides. It did seem as though even the liberal justices were you couldn't really tell. They were open to hearing from both Trump's lawyers and the lawyer representing the Colorado voters who ultimately brought this case, because it was the Colorado voters in the fall that filed the lawsuit under the provision of the Constitution, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, known as the Insurrectionist Clause, to disqualify a presidential candidate. And then the Colorado Supreme Court upholded that. And then that's what brought us here to the Supreme Court today. The Colorado Supreme Court decided Trump was ineligible for the presidency due to his conduct on January 6th. The court ordered him to be excluded off the GOP presidential primary ballot. Trump appealed, and now it's at the hands of the Supreme Court. So it all kind of circled back to that original line of questioning. A lot of questions under what constitutes the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. A lot of questions, historical precedent in there as well. So it is interesting. There's a lot in there, and whether or not they ultimately side with Trump's lawyers in this, it definitely will have kind of that waterfall effect, I think.
Yeah. Kelly, Trump's legal team, his counsel, Jonathan Mitchell, talked about that the ban only applies to appointed officers and not elected officials. Let me play a clip from him as he was standing before the justices.
Officer of the United States refers only to appointed officials, and it does not encompass elected individuals such as the president or members of Congress.
Did it feel like he was trying to wordsmith it to say, hey, no, my client was elected, he's not an officer? Did it feel like that in the courtroom?
Yeah, there were a lot of questions around that, especially around from the more liberal justices on if he was kind of just, splitting hairs at that point, whether, he's an officer, whether basically the Trump lawyers were trying to argue that because he was president, he's not under the same category as others. And for the Colorado voters lawyer, basically saying that just because he's president, he shouldn't be immune from being upheld or being held accountable in a way. So there was a lot of questions around that. Definitely a debate in there around officers. And I think there was also a moment in there when they were trying to move on with the questioning, and then Elena Kagan came back and said, well, can we come back to this officer stuff later? And then the courtroom kind of laughed. And it was just a moment of comedic relief in all of this, where, you had this kind of like, okay, can we come back to that? So it did seem civil. It did seem like justices on both sides of, the aisle, so to speak, were respectful and had a lot of questions around this and seemed thoughtful. And I think understand the weight of this decision.
Were the justices concerned about the precedent that this might set?
I didn't exactly. I can't point to a moment where they pointed to that. I think, though, watching this from the outside, as there's just, I'm looking at the amount of reporters that are here outside of the Supreme Court covering this and the media attention this is getting, the biggest story of the day, really the month, just that this is something that the Supreme Court really hasn't looked at before, this type of precedent. And then also the fact that they haven't been this involved in a presidential election since Bush versus Gore 24 years ago. And I think them being involved in this, I think this throws the Supreme Court front and center into the 2024 presidential race in a way unlike we've ever seen before. So I think maybe they didn't draw attention to it, but I think all of us around the Supreme Court and watching and listening know just how important this decision is.
We are connecting our own dots for sure. Kelly Meyer, thank you for joining us from News Nation.
Next, the top story of the day, the state school board member Natalie Klein here in Utah being told to resign by parents of a high school girls basketball player who was publicly humiliated on Klein's Facebook post. If you missed it earlier and you don't know about this story, we're going to tell you what that post was all about and the comments that made this girl out to be a transgender player. She is not. Her parents have said as much, and others have confirmed she is not. She is a she. Here's the mom's child that a lot of people, adults on Facebook, were publicly shaming. And in a moment, we're going to get a live report from KSL 5 Television's Shelby Lofton, who talked to this girl's mother and father.
To look at someone's outer appearance and make an assumption that they are either playing in the right arena or not, based on the way someone looks, I don't think is appropriate.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio. The last thing you want in the morning is more noise.
The day's just getting started. Maybe you're feeling a little anxious or overwhelmed, and it's not even 8 yet.
So catching up on important news stories, some sense of weather and traffic, it shouldn't be stressful.
Get a wrap on the day ahead from smart, inviting voices who know you're trying to ease in.
Do you love a rainy day?
I do, actually.
I do too.
Tim and Amanda, mornings from 5 to 9. They have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
When you crash your car, you get it fixed. When your computer crashes, you get a new one. But what will you do if you've been saving in a 401k or an IRA and the market crashes? If you're in your 30s or 40s, you'll be just fine. But if you're in or near retirement, you could be in trouble. Mike Stevens and his team at Capital Wealth Advisors are here to help. They can run a risk analysis to see if you're too heavily invested in the market. Don't let the ups and downs of Wall Street control you or your retirement dreams. Call 801-210-5500 today to schedule your risk analysis with Mike Stevens and the team at Capital Wealth Advisors. That's 801-210-5500. Crashes happen. Question is, are you ready? Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It's time for the Sportsman's Vacation and RV Show, February 16th through the 19th at the Mountain America Expo. Save $2 at UtahRVShow.com.
Bish's is skipping this year's big RV show for a big reason. It costs each dealer a fortune, and guess who gets stuck with the bill? Yep, you. So skip the big show expense and come to the Bish's Better Than Show pricing event for free admission, free parking, and Better Than Show pricing on new and used RVs. Only at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, February 12th through the 17th and President's Day. Better pricing's big, but better selection? That's huge. Instead of spending your money to see a handful of models hauled to the show, you're getting Better Than Show pricing on our entire inventory of new and used RVs. You'll find pricing as low as $140 per month on approved credits, plus clearance pricing on all remaining new 2023s. You'll also make 0 payments until May on approved credit and get generous trade-in offers on your current RV. Start shopping now at skipthervshow.com. Better brands, bigger selection, lower than show pricing, and free admission? Why settle? Come to the Better Than Show pricing event at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, February 12th through the 17th and President's Day. Bish's RV, where memories begin. Stock number 73504 and 76976. Based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a Kaysville police officer was injured trying to draw her gun during a training exercise. Now she's suing the manufacturer of the holster. Second, candidates who lose primary elections won't be able to immediately start a write-in campaign under a bill by one state senator. And third, after oral arguments today, it appears the Supreme Court is not inclined to go along with a decision that keeps former President Trump off the primary ballot in Colorado. 37 degrees and mostly cloudy right now. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
David Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
A high school girl plays on the girls' high school basketball team in the Granite School District. Publicly shamed when state school board member Natalie Klein uploaded a photo of this teen photo of the child in her basketball uniform that insinuated she was transgender. And then the pile-on of comments on that Facebook post was absolutely horrible. And they baked on that Facebook post, on Klein's Facebook post, for hours, Dave.
And we just got a statement from the State Board of Education that says the Utah State Board of Education leadership condemns the actions taken by board member Natalie Klein on her recent Facebook post directed toward a female high school student athlete in Utah.
The parents have asked her to resign. They spoke last night to KSL Television's Shelby Lofton about how they handled this with their child. Let's start with her because she is the most important person in this entire discussion, is this 16-year-old girl, Shelby.
That's right. She's only 16. It's hard enough to be a teenager, much less be at the center of a highly controversial post. Talked to the parents yesterday, and they said they decided to wait until after school, after practice, to tell her about this post. They said their daughter does not have social media on her phone, so they figured let her go through her day, get through her classes, get through her sports, and then talk to her. And they said that they were heartbroken to have to pull their daughter aside and read her this post. They said they chose not to read the comments to her because they were so hateful, but instead focused on the support they were getting from their community.
Did they say how she took the news?
They said that their daughter is tough on the exterior, but she is someone who internalizes things. And they think, as of last night, that this really hasn't sunk in, that this will take some time for her to come to terms with.
We know that the state school board will meet this afternoon. We will be covering that story. Has Natalie Klein spoken to you, anybody that you know of at KSL 5 TV? Because we put a request in early this morning to have her join the show, and we have not. Is that right, Caitlin, to say she still has not responded to our request? The answer is no, she hasn't. Have you had any contact with her at all? It was like, why would you do this?
Our newsroom reached out last night before our report at 10 o'clock, and she forwarded the Facebook post that she had written up in response to this original post that sparked all of this.
Now, do we know, now some of the additional posts that I saw after had the girl's face scratched out, so you couldn't see her face on the post. You could see her muscular arms,
right.
And that's what a ton of people started assuming, well, she must be a he. And
Right.
also Natalie Klein's post, to be specific, was it said, girls basketball, ... no question mark, girls basketball. But how I read it in my mind was girls basketball, ... Do we know if, for sure, Shelby, if Natalie Klein blurred this child's face? I mean, she is a state school board member, so I can't even believe the post went up to begin with. Do we know if she blurred the face so people couldn't tell who this child was for sure?
The parents of this girl screenshot everything, and they sent me a copy of that original post, and it does not blur out their child's face at all. It's clear as day. You can see who this child is in that original post.
Oh, my goodness. The mom said something to you that I thought was just so spot on, to just assume that somebody is not their gender, which she is. She was born a girl.
That's right.
It just speaks volumes to how quickly we make a judgment, and you shouldn't assume just by a body type somebody's gender, which I thought was just absolutely spot on. I mean, we assume so much, and they were flat wrong.
That's right. Both of the parents said they were most frustrated by the lack of fact-finding. They said this person on our school board is someone who's meant to advocate for the well-being of our child, the safety of our children, and they didn't go about asking where these pictures came from, what the child's gender was. They said no one reached out and asked about our child. Instead, they just posted without consent a picture of their 16-year-old girl and insinuated that she was a boy, transgender. And they just said they're highly disappointed, and they said someone in her position, she should resign after making a mistake like that.
And the resignation is crucial because in this letter that we just received from the Utah State Board of Education, they specifically say the board has no power or authority to unseat elected officials. So it would require a resignation for her to leave this post.
We have 3 reporters on this today, so we're tackling and trying to explain to our viewers and everyone following this story, how does this play out from here? Will she resign? We're also calling on Natalie Klein to come forward and talk.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done the same thing, asked her to join our show. We have not heard back. What is in the future, the near future, for this young lady that was so terribly humiliated on Facebook? I'm hoping that she just goes right back to school and she senses the love of the community.
I hope the same for her. I know her parents have said that they are really rallying around her, that they're focusing on the support they've received. But her father said something very poignant. You know, other children who are victims of cyberbullying don't necessarily have a strong community. What if she didn't? This could have led to her ending her own life. And that is the grave consequence of things like this. So they're focusing on being positive and supporting their daughter and also being transparent with her. But even last night when I went to interview them, she was out with friends. They just want her to continue a normal life.
Good.
And I am a little bit concerned about that with all the attention that we're bringing to it as the media and the community. We absolutely need to hold this board member accountable for what she did, but as collateral damage, sometimes by talking about it and bringing so much attention to it, I wonder if it is perpetuating the problem.
Well, I think we report stories, and unfortunately, a state board member, somebody who's entrusted with the care of children and making sure she has their best interest at heart, has created a firestorm around this one child. And as you said, it appears from what the parents had screenshotted, took no measures from what we know so far to protect the identity of this child. We have taken those measures here to not name the child, not say what school she attends.
Right.
You blurred the photo of her last night when I saw it on the news because this came from a flyer that looked like it had been screen grabbed and then posted on Klein's Facebook page. And it was a school flyer, right?
So the girl's parents say that it looks like Klein screenshotted an Instagram post. And, and Klein said in her follow-up post that she had received multiple messages from concerned parents, and that's where she got these. And then another one they believe was taken during the game, Tuesday night, of a banner hanging in the school gym that shows their daughter in uniform with her fellow student athletes.
Well, they take those photos my kids have those photos taken too. Those are a big deal. And so they think that came from one of those big banners inside the school gym.
Someone took it during the game and sent it to Natalie Klein.
She has come out and since deleted the post and apologized. Just quickly, Shelby, did the parents feel satisfied with that, or have you had a chance to take that question to them yet?
I asked them and they said, no, an apology on Facebook is simply not enough. They're asking for a public apology. They did say that Natalie Klein had reached out to them and sent them a long message asking to meet in person. They said, quite frankly, we're not sure if we're ready for that or if we'll ever be ready for that. That's something they'll decide on their own time. They only found out about this about 24 hours ago. Shelby
Lofton, thank you for joining us. KSL 5 Television.
Really great reporting, Shelby. We'll be paying attention to continuing coverage today on KSL 5 TV and, of course, right here at KSL News Radio. Next, our favorite psychologist, Dr. Tom Golightly. We need him in a moment like this. We have several questions. I mean, first and foremost, I think if this was my child, after I picked myself up off the ground from crying about this, I would be holding them. I think these parents did the right thing by talking to their child. So we're going to ask Dr. Tom, what is the next step for this child?
It's 11:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. We have breaking news. The leadership of the Utah State Board of Education has issued a statement condemning a social media post from a board member that questioned a girl basketball player's gender. She is, in fact, a girl. Her parents are calling on Natalie Klein to resign now from the state board. The statement from board leadership says they will be taking prompt action regarding the matter, but they do not have the power to unseat an elected official. Democrats in the Utah House of Representatives are also calling for the resignation of Klein, along with the governor and lieutenant governor. Klein has taken down that post and apologized. Candidates for president or county clerk could be facing an elections rule change in Utah. Here's KSL News Radio's Peter Johnston with more.
Political candidates who declare they're running for office won't be able to switch to a write-in campaign for a full year. That's what State Senator Dan McKay's bill calls for, regardless if it's a local, state, or federal race. If a presidential candidate were to hypothetically lose Utah's March 5th primary, McKay's bill would block them from November's general election ballot.
McKay tells KSL News Radio that candidates can still take various paths to get on the ballot, including gathering signatures, but they just can't lose and then try to run again immediately. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The U.S. Supreme Court wrapped up its historic hearing on Thursday on whether to uphold the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to block former President Trump from the 2024 ballot. ABC News Supreme Court contributor Kate Shaw has more on some of the concerns over the Colorado decision.
The kind of practical consequences of letting a single state make such a dramatic change in the availability of candidates to voters kind of nationwide, or, the availability of the office of presidency to candidates seemed like something that justices were really troubled by.
And the only other state that's decided to keep Trump off the primary ballot was Maine. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average is down on the day right now, 39 points, while the NASDAQ is up 46. And our KSL weather, we've got more snow on the way before things dry out. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:33.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the nines, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Dry skin, that is what my family and I really suffer with, have for years, a very long time. And now it's in the wintertime, it's even worse. And I think so many Utahns have felt this, have dealt with it, and not quite sure known what a solution is. Well, there's several things you can do, but the one that we found that has helped us just about as much as anything is our Kinetico water softener. Soft water is the key. It's been a huge difference maker for our dry skin. Now, Utah has some of the hardest water in the entire country. It's just the way the water comes into your house. So you have to process it and get it, put it through a soft water system to be able to reap those benefits. And Kinetico's has been fantastic for our family. If you're not quite sure what soft water does, just give them a call and let them come out to you and walk you through the process, the difference that it can make in your home. 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600, or online at softwaterutah.com.
Tonight, your Law & Order Thursday is all new.
Beginning in the legendary courtroom that started it all.
Yep, Law & Order.
Then, Olivia Benson and the squad fight for justice on SVU.
As always, helping survivors stand up to their assailants.
Followed by a powerful new organized crime.
With an ending that will have fans buzzing.
Wait, is it Stabler?
Huh? You gotta watch. All new Law & Order Thursday, tonight on NBC.
Tell me it's not Stabler.
No spoilers.
Then stay tuned for KSL 5 News at 10.
Tonight at 10, is Utah's bad air situation leaving you exhausted? Cleaner air comes from cleaner exhaust. So why aren't electric buses on the fast track in public transit? Or are they?
I have a personal stake in it as well. I want to breathe well.
Where does UTA's reliance on diesel end and the road to cleaner buses begin?
Exhausted, cutting through bus pollution. Tonight, live and streaming on KSL 5 News at 10.
You're free now. Free to kick back, relax, and stream beyond your wildest dreams.
Rom-coms, slasher comps, space operas, space westerns, cupcake bake-offs on Mars.
Free to fill your feed with impossibly chonky chonkers who chonk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things.
Bowl of chips on the robo-vacuum.
And master devices that have no business being smart.
Smart forks, smart toothbrushes, smart tortilla makers.
Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability. Service in select locations only.
Don't miss KSL's special broadcast with Tim, Amanda, Dave, and Deb, February 9th at ARUP Blood Services Sandy. Blood donations are really needed. To help, visit utahblood.org for details.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 13 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, or other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 90 days from a station contest or event are not eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
Valley Freeway traffic in good shape. Going from eastbound I-80 and Parley's Canyon into Summit County, we've had just a little bit of heavy and slow traffic near Jeremy Ranch. And don't forget the traffic light at the intersection of 1300 East and Highland in Draper is in a flashing mode while crews remain on the scene trying to do some repair work in that area. Lagoon is looking for ride maintenance technicians. Lagoon offers excellent mechanical training programs with amazing career opportunities. Ride maintenance technician position is full-time and year-round. Details, visit lagoonpark.com/jobs. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, scattered rain and snow showers this morning, turning to snow showers this afternoon and evening, colder and drier this weekend with highs in the mid-30s. And right now we're at 39 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
With big stories like this, we certainly rely on our colleagues at KSL 5 TV to bring us the latest as they look into the situation involving a state school board member who made a social media post that humiliated a girls' high school basketball player in the Granite District.
Yeah, had posted a picture of a girl basketball player and then in the post insinuated that that basketball player is a transgender girl and shouldn't be playing on the girls' basketball team. That has been proven to be a total lie. That is not the case. The parents, the girl, have spoken to us here at KSL. Lindsay Ertz joins us right now about the possible ramifications for Natalie Klein, who is the Utah school board member that made that post. Lindsay, thanks for joining us.
We just have hi guys, good to be with you. Yeah, we just have a little bit of an update today in terms of the State Board of Education is speaking out this morning, condemning the actions of Natalie Klein. So I know you guys have a hold of that post too. They say they are working on taking action, but they did not specify what that could be or what that might be. Now, there's a little bit of protocol in place here that probably we need to make people aware of in terms of just the board executive. The leadership, the executives of the board have to publicly notice when they get together and when they meet, and they have to do that within 24 hours in advance. And so it hasn't been 24 hours since this was all happening, and so they have to make that known to the public. So there's a little bit of protocol there, but in terms of what action they could take, we hope to kind of get some answers on that today.
And so far, we've also heard, and we're going to hear from in a moment from the Democrats on Capitol Hill. They're calling for the immediate resignation of Utah School Board member Natalie Klein. This follows the parents' call as well of this child for her resignation, which they told Shelby Lofton last night on KSL 5 TV. Asked for her resignation. Has anybody talked to Natalie Klein that you're aware of? Does she intend to stay where she's at, or is she contemplating resignation at this point? Do you know?
Well, I have gotten one text message from her, and it is the same thing that Shelby got. She pointed us back to the post where she made the apology. So it's pretty clear that she's not wanting to speak publicly about this. But we are working to continue to reach out to her and give her an opportunity to explain herself here. That's what we do in the media as well. I also wanted to point out some of the removal process in terms of impeachment. That's something a lot of people have been calling for. And that is a legislative process that would have to start with the House of Representatives, similar to when a president is impeached, for high crimes and misdemeanors or malfeasance in office. That is the standard. It has to start there, right? And I will just kind of point out that Utah is very I don't know what the word I'm looking for is we're very judicious with reserved with when we use impeachment. We don't do it like Congress does it, right? Where we're just possibly impeaching everyone. So we're very reserved with that. We've had prior attorney generals who have faced criminal charges who have yet to be impeached, or were not impeached, or were tried but not convicted in the Senate. And so we're very judicious with that process, but we are pushing lawmakers to give us a response on that too today. So I just want to talk about the process, because the State Board of Education they're right when they say they don't have the authority to remove her from the board. She can resign, she can step down. There is an impeachment process, but that is kind of very last resort.
Yeah.
And then also there's the process of just the public and the ramifications that the board could do in terms of stripping her of her committees and her assignments and things like that.
Lindsay Ertz, thank you for the update. We will continue to follow your coverage on KSL television as we continue to follow this story. Thanks, Lindsay.
Lots of developments happening all day long and throughout the next couple of days, certainly. If they're going to post that meeting, we'll have to wait and see when that meeting at the State Board of Education is held. We'll be checking in just a moment with a representative from the House of Representatives on Capitol Hill. The Democrats there calling for the immediate resignation of State School Board member Natalie Klein.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of a story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
On job sites, few things are more important than a solid work boot. At Boot Barn Work, we pride ourselves on knowing that no matter your trade, when there's hard work to be done, your boot should be built for non-stop protection and mobility. Thorogood checks all the boxes. Their Wear Anywhere boots are time-tested and crafted with the highest quality materials for relentless support. For job-fitted boots, Thorogood at Boot Barn Work.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Jeff Kaplan here. Every once in a while, I do my show from home, and you probably wouldn't be able to tell. I'm on KSL and sending video to the internet all at the same time because I have Xfinity Wi-Fi. It's pretty amazing because at the same time my wife's streaming a movie, grandkids come over, one's watching YouTube, 2 are playing Minecraft, and others watching a flick, all while Grandma says, "Shh, Papa's on the air. We run all these devices, and I do a show thanks to my reliable, fast connection. Xfinity Wi-Fi is a game changer. Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi on the Xfinity 10G network for a reliable connection throughout your home. Now through March 21st, new customers can get started with 1.2 gigabit internet for $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add unlimited mobile. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. This year, Utah Arts Alliance celebrates its 20th anniversary. The organization has blossomed from its grassroots beginnings into a dynamic cultural organization that brings engaging arts experiences to hundreds of thousands of individuals annually in Utah. Founder and Executive Director Derek Dyer is here to tell us more.
The mission of the Utah Arts Alliance is to foster the arts in all forms in order to create an aware, empowered, and connected community. Each year, we support over 2,000 artists and engage over 350,000 community members across Utah. Our 6 cultural facilities expand public access to the arts and give artists and creatives opportunities to thrive. These include Dreamscape's Immersive Art Experience, Urban Arts Gallery, Counterpoint Studios, the SLC Arts Hub, Alliance Theater, and the Art Castle. Each venue is unique and accommodates a wide range of activities while serving as creative incubators for artists, performance groups, and arts nonprofits. We create many cultural events throughout Utah, including several large free art festivals for the public, including the Urban Arts Festival, which is Utah's largest free art event, and Illuminate, Utah's Light Art and Creative Technology Festival. To learn more about the Utah Arts Alliance, visit us online at utaharts.org.
Utah Arts Alliance is leading the way for Utah's arts and cultural renaissance that is creating a better quality of life for all. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, police in South Salt Lake shot a suspected car thief overnight. Second, there's a bill in the legislature that would keep candidates who lose a primary election from immediately starting up a write-in campaign. And third, based on oral arguments today, it appears the U.S. Supreme Court won't uphold a Colorado decision that keeps former President Trump off the primary election ballot. Right now, 39 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The governor and the lieutenant governor issuing a joint statement regarding the conduct on social media of state school board member Natalie Klein, condemning it, saying that she'd embarrassed the state of Utah with that social media post about that 16-year-old high school basketball player who is a girl who was playing on the girls' team. But the post that Klein put up on Facebook, and it sat there for hours and hours, made it seem like she was transgender. And the comments that lit up her page speaking about her as though she was a he were inaccurate. She is a girl. Her parents have spoken out. They're calling for her resignation. And now the Democrats on Capitol Hill have joined the parents' call for immediate resignation of Utah School Board member Natalie Klein. Dave?
Yeah, I can't understand why Klein wouldn't confirm this first. Number one, you're dealing with a minor. You're dealing with someone that is clearly under 18. This is a high school basketball team. So before you do anything, shouldn't the warning bells be going off that, hey, this is a kid. I better get this one right. But that, number one, that's a huge issue. Number two, if there was a situation where a transgender girl was playing on a girls' basketball team, you don't know whether she's there legally or illegally because that's handled privately behind the scenes by the school. So if you had a real concern, then you should have gone to the school and figured out, okay, is this in accordance to Utah law? And then if the answer is no, okay, then I can see maybe addressing it, never posting the picture, never humiliating the child, but you could address it on some level. but this was a failure from the second she hit send to the moment she deleted it, and probably everywhere in between.
And she's issued an apology statement that's quite lengthy, apologizing for the post, but also saying a number of other things in that as well. It's almost trying to, what I want to say, defend the post, as though we're going through times right now where we question and people question whether somebody is transgender or not. No, that was the question that was raised by your post, in my view, Natalie. Nobody was raising that question of this child that I'm aware of, but you're saying a number of parents have reported this to you. And we've learned from KSL5 Television's Shelby Lofton, who spoke to the parents of this child, that it appears that this post did not have this child's face covered. Shouldn't be even posted in the first place, but didn't have it blurred, so her face was on social media.
Yeah.
So now you've identified the child. It also appears as though one of the photos that was posted is of one of the posters or banners that numerous schools take all over the place of children, and they post them playing sports. They post them in, arenas. They post them on baseball fields. They post them on the city streets where I live.
Yeah.
So and that was another one of the photos that was posted. It appeared to the parents and to also KSL5 Television's Shelby Lofton. Live with us right now, Utah House of Democrats Representative Angela Romero, live on the line. She's the minority leader on Capitol Hill. You're calling, the Democrats are gotten together and are now calling for Klein's resignation.
Yes, we are. And if she doesn't resign, we are looking at what can be done to impeach her.
Well, that's a great question, because we received a statement from the Utah State Board of Education, and they said the board has no power or authority to unseat an elected official. So what avenues does the state legislature have?
We are looking into that, so we're consulting with our attorneys to see if there's a pathway.
What was your reaction to board member Klein's post on her Facebook page?
I wasn't surprised, because she's always posting hateful, mean, derogatory things about people who don't think like her. But what's shocking about it is the fact that she targeted a young person who is just trying to live their life and participate in sports. And it really bothers me, because we as a legislature passed some really horrific bills this last session. And I just think that people like Mrs. Klein are going to continue to harass marginalized people, young people that don't fit their stereotype of who a person should be.
She has apologized several times, or at least in the post that came after this, where she apologized several times. My deepest apologies for the negative attention. What do you make of the apology?
I think it's a fake apology, because how many times has she had to apologize to different individuals or different groups because she said horrific things about them? So it's too little too late, and she should do us all a big favor and just resign. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. I know this is felt throughout our body.
Have you talked to the Republican Party? Have you spoken to the House Speaker about his feelings about a possible impeachment process up there on Capitol Hill?
Not yet. We've been on the floor all day, so we are breaking up into our caucuses, and sometime today we'll have that conversation, hopefully.
Utah Minority Leader Representative Angela Romero is joining us right now. And I know this is very raw. And have you reached out, or have you heard from the family? Have they done any kind of made any contact with you or with your colleagues?
I have a member in my caucus who's friends with a friend of the family who has been, exchanging information. I'd like to keep that confidential.
Yeah, we understand, and we also have been working to keep the child's name and obviously her face confidential. So when would you know for sure, Representative Romero, when you might start this process?
That's a good question. This is all, like you said, new. It's all raw, and so we just got off the floor, doing the people's business, and now we're going to meet with our caucus, and we're going to talk to our staff and our attorneys, and we'll see what happens from there.
Representative Angela Romero, thank you.
The governor and
Thank you.
lieutenant governor also issuing a joint statement. As I said earlier, they denounced the behavior of Utah School Board member Natalie Klein, saying that Klein has embarrassed the state of Utah and the State Board of Education. Also together, urging the State Board of Education to hold her accountable. They also commended in their statement the Granite School District, where this child attends schools in the Granite District, for taking swift action to protect this child's safety and well-being. We also reached out to the Granite School District this morning, asked them to join the show to answer the question, like, what are the next steps to continue to protect this child and protect her school? And they said, we're not going to be making any comments, on air today, but they had indeed issued a statement last night about this, saying that they had significant concerns with the apparent intent of board members of Klein's post and are working to ensure the safety and well-being of the student, Dave.
Now, I thought it was great as we were talking to Amy Donaldson earlier in the show, and Amy Donaldson is a longtime reporter, has specifically covered women's sports, girls' sports for decades. And I've worked closely with Amy for years, so she really is an expert on these things. And she said there's two things that stood out to her. Number one, obviously the post was in poor taste and obviously crossed a line. But she said, what if this child had been transgender? Would it still have been inappropriate? And she described why it would have been, because state law prohibits transgender girls from participating on girls' teams here in the state of Utah. That is some recent legislation that just passed last year. Said, but that is determined. There is an avenue where trans girls can play on girls' teams, but they have to go through a process where they meet with a committee. It's handled very much on a local school level, school by school level, where they make this petition, they request the ability for their trans child to play on the girls' team. And all of this is the key. It's all done in private. It is not meant to be announced with a bullhorn to the public. This is a private matter that is handled privately, and that was a crucial part of the Utah state law. And that is another layer to what made this post so incredibly inappropriate. Number one, the fact that she didn't fact-check any of this and got the story wrong at every level, that was abhorrible. But the second level was, even if you were right, you handled it wrong.
Because she would have a right to play.
She may very well have the right to play. And if she didn't, then there's a more discreet way to handle this, not to shout it from the rooftops of social media.
We're going to continue to track this story every turn that develops throughout the day. We'll be checking back with the Democrats to see where their efforts to start an impeachment process goes, and also with the State Board of Education that has condemned what Natalie Klein posted to her Facebook page. More as well from Maria Chaleos.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is